Guys, firstly, massive congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you all feeling?
Great. I mean, I think I'm getting stiffer by the minute.
Literally 1 hour later.
Feel my hips.
Yeah, it's only been like an hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to make this very clear early on. James, when you came up to me in the middle of the race and you went, "What's your prediction?" What did I say?
Yeah.
I actually did.
No, that was at they're at the Farmers Carry. So you were coming second as well, and
You moved up into second at that point and you moved out.
Yeah.
I was like, she's good on the latter end of races.
It is. That's, yeah, do you know what? I knew that and I had to keep that in my head because it was such a close race. And I was like, you've got to have the confidence. And I was saying to myself, really dark thoughts on the Farmers Carry. I was like, if you drop this, something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to keep saying to myself, and it worked.
May I ask, did you were you a little bit like nervous because you were so like naive about who that girl was? Because who did come second?
Jan Lieber.
Yes.
We didn't know who she was.
Lieberstadt.
Yeah, Lieberstadt.
So you didn't know if she was good at lunges or running or...
Yeah,
It was interesting, right?
it was. Because sometimes you obviously know and you do a bit of research across the girls that you're racing against. So you know what they're like on the stations in terms of wall balls and stuff. But you're right, I had absolutely no prior knowledge about what she was going to sort of do in the wall balls and stuff. So I just had to keep her in my sights. And even Kate, like, it was great to have Kate kind of as a bit of a pacer. But obviously for you yesterday, it was completely different because you were out on your own after the
From the
burpees.
Yeah, from the sled pull to burpees.
So were you like any checks behind you, or were you just sort of focused?
I was, as soon as I took the lead, and I took the lead after the sled pull and overtook Harry Thompson, who actually led out the sled pull. No, in my head, as soon as I took that lead, I said, this is it. There's no one else that's going to come close. So it was a different race for me. I didn't go into it, but it felt like my first race yesterday.
Why first?
I've had such a different experience the last 5 weeks of like training for this because I've got a new coach, and I decided to totally change my whole structure and I guess purpose behind doing this, right? I needed to because of how I felt after Washington. So I took the leap of faith, and I'm so lucky to be working with Anthony Parasini. And honestly, I manifested and worked so hard for what
You did.
for what I did yesterday.
It is a ballsy move to change your coach and approach before the biggest race of your entire season. Like, why did it get so bad that you had to make such a drastic change in your eyes?
This whole Elite 15 system and structure, we are getting to the point where it's very elite, meaning we are like elite sportsmen now.
Yeah.
And we're deemed elite sportsmen. I wasn't happy with my performance in Vienna and Washington. And I had to make a choice whether or not I wanted to put my foot down and become an elite athlete by being open-minded to being like wrong. And what that means is I was coaching myself. And I wasn't wrong and I wasn't doing the wrong things, but I needed change.
Yeah.
I needed change. Like I just knew it. I was speaking to Georgie about it after Vienna and then Washington, and I reached out to Lauren and then had a great chat with Anthony the first time, and we connected. And I think that's the most important thing. Anthony Parasini, we're totally opposite in terms of like how we view things, or we were. He's data driven. He's all numbers. He's so focused on structure, and I was all about like feel and training for feel and waking up and deciding what I was wanting to do. But no, I've got my program for Worlds already, like from tomorrow onwards. You know, like he knows exactly what I should be doing to be on top of the podium. And I think because we're so different, we're working really well together.
Yeah, it's nice. Because you're coaching system, not dissimilar. You're
Absolutely not.
your own coach to a certain extent.
So I was my own coach going into Vienna, and I wasn't happy again with my performance in Vienna. So I, very similar to JK, needed a change. So I've moved over to Tom and Dean Hogan now. And again, like everything, it just felt so right in terms of everything that we pre-planned and spoken about, like strategy and training wise. It just all paid off. It all came together today. And I think you're right. Sometimes you do need to have that. You need to sit down with yourself and go, right, this is my goal. This is where I need to be, like, and understand what needs to change. And yeah, I wasn't doing anything wrong again from my coaching perspective, but also I wasn't pushing myself as well in the ways that I needed to. You know, I'd sort of rest on my laurels, understand where my strengths were, but sometimes you just need that extra push and belief, I think, from an outsider that can then support you and you take it.
And I think when you're your own coach, right, without knowing it, you've got your own biases. And
It creeps in.
yeah, like you wake up and you're meant to be doing this, but
Yeah, I'd rather do something I like
you just
today.
decide to be like, nah, okay, I'll do something that I like or I'm good at, right? You need that, like I think, you know, like most professional sportsmen or elite, when we talk about world champions, like they always talk about the support system, right?
Yeah.
And the people around them that have created the environment to perform at their level. And that's what I've wanted to create.
Yeah.
And I've needed, you know, other people around me.
And we're lucky because if you look at the sort of people that, like family-wise and friend-wise, like JK and I have a really strong support network. JK and certainly Georgie, and like we always joke about it, like my dad comes everywhere.
Yeah.
And that in itself, like that is so important, having that support from both of those guys constantly, like hearing them shout as you're running around and just, you know, giving you again like the belief that you can go in and achieve these things. It's just as important as having really decent coaches too.
I would not have done what I did yesterday without Georgie. If I didn't have Georgie, then if I didn't have Georgie, there'd be no point to all this.
So yeah.
Did you? When you cut your hair.
Don't say that. You know what?
Is it a bit cool?
To answer the question, I definitely did. We walked into the barber. She knew I was going to go short, but she didn't know I was going to go this short.
Can I just ask, so was this sort of a ploy to recreate yourself before the race yesterday?
It was, yeah. I did it Thursday because before the race, and I did it on purpose because it, as I said to you guys, like yesterday was like I was a new athlete and my first race, so I wanted to look like a new athlete or like a different look.
I was close to doing it.
What would you have done?
Bald? I was close to going bald.
No. Oh my God! Please don't do that.
You got lovely hairs. Please don't do that.
JK's been that streamlined round that.
Yeah, they gave him an extra minute and a half.
Sorry, that's Sonic-esque.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Like the psychological advantage, because you had your own version of that, right?
Yeah, massively. So in terms of the flag.
Yeah.
So I bought one of my one flags from a recent race and I hung it up in my hotel room, and just really little things like that. You know, Tom and I had spoken about kind of like, you know, the power of belief and the power of kind of managing your emotions and manifesting, as you touched on, and even little things like that. Me getting up in the morning and just seeing that one constantly. You know, everything helps going into that race and just getting you really prepared.
It's becoming a sport that your mental fitness, I'm going to call it, is far more important than your physical fitness. It's getting to that point. And I'm saying that because of like the last 5 weeks since the Washington race, I've totally changed my structure and routine and my whole life towards yesterday and what happened yesterday, right? But I couldn't have done that without my support, Georgie, my family, my coaching team, but also like my mentality of resilience and and the support from Anthony, knowing that I can do what I did yesterday, even to the point, right, where I've never been a journaler. Like, I've never had a diary or anything, but I decided to start writing whenever something pops up in my head, especially at training, when I'm training. Like, I get a lot of like really good thoughts when I'm actually training and exerting myself. So I decided to write down like just random thoughts. And it was funny, Georgie and I were going over them last night, right? March 17th. So what was that, like a month ago?
Yeah.
Right? I was on the treadmill doing an interval session. I remember this, right? And I'm right, like you can see it. I say, everyone's human. No one is invincible. Believes. And then I say, I can see it. 70, 20, 10 wall balls before cementing my spot, coming over that finish line, finding Georgie and calling Anthony straight away. It's going to happen.
That gives me like goosebumps.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
and the pictures I'm seeing when you're reading that is you crossing the finish line, crying ugly tears.
Yeah.
I actually can't believe that on my face.
And then finding Georgie in the crowd and just giving her a big hug, crying more ugly tears. But you made it happen.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I'm proud of that.
I'm interested to know, you've moved your entire life for this sport, you know, and you're not just your life, Georgie's life as well. And you come over, you found a place in Germany to make this happen. Did you feel like inside you had to be able to execute? If you know what?
Yeah, and like going back to the whole like elite 15 system structure, like, you know, I had like my days leading up to yesterday, going like in my head, like, if I don't make it, I'm a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? Taking the risk of living abroad and doing what I'm doing online with all my athletes. If I don't make this whole elite 15 thing, I'm such a fraud. So it's been such a hard roller coaster psychologically to get to yesterday, because like, as much as we both knew that if we didn't get spots today and yesterday, there would have been one more chance. But I put my heart, like, I was like determined to make sure that I did not have to go to America.
100%.
Would you have gone?
I mean, look, if I hadn't, yes, I probably would have tried.
I still would have.
So desperate for the spot, but we both know all that travel. We've both obviously done like Chicago, you've done Washington as well. I know that I necessarily wouldn't perform at my best, and you need that time to acclimatise. And just going back to what you said, like, the fear of failing at stuff always stops and prevents people doing so much.
Yeah.
And it is really scary in these races when they're so big to put yourself out there. But I also think that we've been fortunate enough as well to have like majors under our belt, like we spoke about earlier, to have that experience.
The experience, yeah.
And racing against the best, like, you know, you just have a better understanding of kind of like strategy and how to perform, etc.
Did it make it special to be there with Kate Davey on the finish line? Because you guys obviously run doubles together, you're good friends, and I know she's been having quite a tough time. So for both of you to make it must have been really nice.
Amazing. But the scariest thing was Kate obviously crossed the line.
What?
And then she got called back.
So what happened?
She
finished at 99?
Yeah.
And then I went over to like hug her, and I was thinking, good job I like pounce on her and like prevent her from getting up quickly, and good job she had a lead, because I wouldn't have known.
When she ran back and we were like,
I know, but yeah, so special. Like, I think the resilience that she's especially shown in the last few weeks, what she's had on is amazing. And you know, I did my first ever pro race against her, and to come this way, it's lovely. It's really nice, and it's a great environment, you know, that we've both been lucky to be in, against some of the great women that have become really good friends as well.
Yeah.
how did you find this sport? What's your background?
So my background, I always was in loads of like team sports, and growing up I was a kid that just dabbled in everything. So played netball to quite a high level, and then also football, believe it or not. I guess, yeah, I was quite a good nifty little right winger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and shot the ball in. Then I kind of hit a crossroad at uni and had to choose a sport, so I went netball. But running for me has always been like, always had a good engine. I guess that's a byproduct of the sport. And I think part of like just mental outlet, I just always loved running. So I was always quite strong. Did a bit of CrossFit, believe it or not. Yeah, dabbled in it. But I used to cherry pick the workouts ones like box jumps, running.
I still cherry pick the down workouts.
Everything that was conditioning. And then found it because one of my friends was like, there's this race, it's a bit of strength, a bit of running, I think you'll be great at it, back in November 2022. And then the rest is history. I was too competitive for my doubles partner, so went solo.
So went solo and then found Kate and then...
Exactly, try and find some more competitive people like me.
I mean, you mentioned your dad obviously travelling with you to races. Was he ever present in all of the sports that you did?
Always. My dad was the guy, the crazy dad or parent on the
On the sidelines.
Yeah, cheering and shouting. But honestly, I know we joke about it, but like we said earlier, it's been super helpful. He is like a fountain of knowledge. And even we joked about it earlier, but he loves JK.
I know he's found himself a new son.
He is, basically. They've got a good relationship. So no, it's been amazing. He supported me from day one.
Talking about like simply like your father, just going back to like the belief thing. I still remember I was 16 years of age, telling my dad that, Dad, I want to become an AFL player, an Aussie Rules player, right? A professional Aussie Rules player. And I think at that age, right, like a lot of boys want to become like a sports star, right? But my dad at that point in time, right there and then, could have done two things: shot my belief system for life, or allowed me to create belief. And that's what he did. He's like, if that's what you want, let's go. And my father was, and still is, a very big part of my journey. And back then when I was 16, we tried to, make the teams, and he supported me with this, supported me with that. But what I'm getting at is like, he could have shot me down and said, "Oh, mate, you're probably not going to be good enough," because I wasn't, right? I wasn't actually that good.
Oh, yeah.
But he was like, you know what? Yes. And I think because of what he did there and then, he's given me the belief for my life now, and this right now is the and the resilience that I've shown, I guess.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's so important, even in the sporting arena, in the athletic side of things, but actually it just crosses over into so many other areas of your life. JK and I, again, are very similar. Like we are online coaches, we have our own businesses and things. And actually, it's sort of, again, the support system and the belief that you can go and work for yourself and, create sort of your own destiny. It's all interlinked, which is lovely.
I think it shows your ability to calculate risk as well, and knowing risk versus reward, whether that's on racetrack, in life, I don't know.
Or getting a haircut, or...
That was a risk.
That wasn't big.
I literally, no word of a lie, we were editing the highlights yesterday, and I pointed at the screen, I was like, who's that? because you had tipped your head up, so I couldn't even see, like, it was just like your face.
You're 60-year-old man.
I was like, oh no, that's James. It'll take a little while. Do
you rub it? Does it feel really weird?
Yeah, all the time.
Nice?
I just go, just all the time.
Yeah,
It actually...
Go on, you can rub his head. I can rub his head.
It's actually
Will it bring us good fortune?
It is really nice, actually.
Oh my gosh. Well, this descended into chaos. What does training look like now?
Wow, good question. I mean, look, I'm going to go, I said this earlier, I'm going to go away and celebrate. I'm going to have a couple of days of just,
you need to change your flight first.
Yeah, I do need to change my flight. Just enjoyment, sort of get some good food in me that I've missed. Yeah, good pizza and Imperial Spirit.
How much were you not restricting, but having to kind of tailor?
Oh, yeah.
Everything?
Yeah, everything.
I'm like that as well. Yeah. Like, when I'm dialed in, I'm dialed in.
100%. You have to be.
And that's the thing. I changed my approach with my training, with my nutrition, as well as my training the last 5 weeks. Like,
literally everything.
I changed everything.
Yeah.
Changed everything.
Look at what got you. Second fastest time in the world.
Yeah. And I understand, like, I wasn't necessarily like calorie counting.
No.
I was just eating probably maintenance to surplus because I knew that I needed to put on a little bit of size to then hopefully translate into kind of like power and strength, especially on the sense of things. But
Which paid off. You were great on the sleds today.
yeah, I felt it. It felt really good. But like you said, you have to be dialed in. Like there was a goal for both of us, and you just couldn't put anything, to risk. You have to have that kind of holistic view of everything from getting good sleep, everything to, hydration, to nutrition, to saying no to unfortunate things like social occasions and stuff, because we just had that in our sights.
Well, I was just on, I talk to my athletes about like the power of no, like, and if you can say no, right, and look, you've got to do it if you want to be an elite athlete. Like, you have to be able to say no.
Yeah.
And to the social setting was all the, like the social outings, the food, the drink, whatever. But it's just that that knowledge of like it's going to be worth it in the end, right?
Exactly.
Like, but I'm with you. I want to have a couple of days of like. Also, it's just like mentally chilling out.
Yeah, it's just something.
So and then get back on the bandwagon for Nice, which is 8 weeks today. Well, 8 weeks, yes. 8 weeks on Friday.
Okay.
So, yeah, we did.
Yeah, exciting. 2 big blocks coming up.
Oh,
It'll be your first.
Well,
It'll be your first that you can plan for.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great 8 weeks, not 8 minutes.
Yeah, it really helps. For anyone who doesn't know, this man got thrown in the deep end when Tim Beanish was withdrawn. I think it must have been 10 minutes before the race.
Literally 15 minutes.
Did someone run around Manchester and just come to find you?
No, I made it happen. I saw Tim like in the warm-up area, sorry to say Tim, but like crying with his father, like, and that's
sad. I knew
it was so sad so sad to see. But in that split moment, I knew he was out. So I literally saw it and was like, I didn't speak to Tim or anything. Ran up and saw Christian, and I said, he's out, I'm in. Can I be in?
Yeah. Christian, he's out, I am in.
And Christian said yes, and then away we go. And like,
Do you have time to warm up?
no, I didn't warm up at all.
no, that was late. And you finished what? 8?
8.
I know, it's wild.
Cool. That's a
I
story.
think, it was like, I still remember like just embracing it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
But there was no pressure because it was last minute. There's nothing on
I
it.
came fit. So, but 8 weeks to prepare this time, which is great. Yeah.
That was really cool. When you did that, and then you came into, was it Chicago or Stockholm, you got your 5th?
5th was Stockholm.
Yeah, so you came into Chicago, you did all right mid-pack, then you got your 5th. It felt like it was all going the right way, right? How did you handle then that move from 5th to then Vienna where it didn't really go your way?
Yeah. I don't really know why I wasn't kind of continuing the progress, the curve, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I just think it was like I wasn't meant to make it until yesterday. It just wasn't meant to happen, and what was meant to happen was I was meant to do well in those 4 majors. I came 5th, 6th, 7th and 9th in the majors, which didn't qualify me.
So frustrating when they're actually really solid, consistent results.
So in Stockholm, how many seconds were you?
7 seconds.
7 seconds. Like, what's that? 2 or
3 all balls, right? But what I'm getting at is like, if I qualified in Stockholm, I wouldn't be working with Anthony.
Yeah, of course. Everything. I agree.
So it's easy to look back now because of my performance from yesterday, but I feel like it was just meant to happen, and like I'm here now, and as I said, like I feel like I'm a new athlete. Yeah.
And you learn from those races.
Definitely.
Like I was exactly the same. I had quite a poor race relative to me in Manchester at the start of the season, really poor, and I sort of was asking myself and questioning my ability Then Vienna was like 2 weeks after, so I had very little time to make any sudden changes. I was like, just get back on kind of my running, which I felt was massively off. Did okay in Vienna. I think I came about 11th, 12th. But then, yeah, I learned so much about what I then needed to put in place, obviously coming into Cologne. So it's super important to have those races where you are kind of off your game, because then it just gives you, like we said, that reset and the ability to question about what needs to change.
Don't want to call you an underdog because that's not what you are at all.
I think,
But obviously there was roll downs and you're never guaranteed a spot, so you're always fighting to even make it to the start line, which is like a luxury that kind of you were always gonna go. How much harder did that make your journey, not actually really knowing whether you're going to be on the start line, but I guess also having to not go to a couple of majors as well? It just must make it, I know, mentally you've got to be so much more willing just to give it your all, potentially for no return.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, obviously there was always the question whether I was going to make it to the majors, and it was so nice in Stockholm when I kind of got my first official qualification for Vienna. It felt so much better. Not that I'm ever taking anything away from the roll down spots, but yeah, you are right. In terms of like preparation for the majors, I was only told maybe like a couple of weeks out from Chicago that I had a place and stuff. So from one perspective, yes, it's difficult to kind of plan and make sure you're in the top game, but like we said, and the second side of things, you don't have a lot of time to prepare. Therefore, you go into it thinking, do you know what? Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to go and do what I know best and try and perform.
Crap.
So that's what I did in Chicago. And I was like, I loved every single second of being on a start line with the best in the world.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Guys, any final messages, thoughts, stories? There's always a story or two. Do you have a pig story?
What's a pig story?
Story.
Oh, Dylan Scott has a pig story, didn't he? He came.
Pig.
Have you? Please go and watch Coffee and Champs and then come back to me.
What do you mean a pig story?
So,
with a picture.
Dylan Scott was cruising down a road somewhere in America and he saw a pig on the side of the road and he thought, because he is Dylan Scott, I'm going to take this pig home.
Wow.
So he just picks up this pig, sleeps with it in his bed overnight, tries to give it a bath, and then takes it to go to Starbucks for a cappuccino. For a puppuccino.
And then what happened to the pig?
Oh, apparently he broke out in hives because he's really allergic to pigs. So he had to let it go.
That is, yeah, I've got nothing.
I don't think I've got a pig story.
No, oh, shame. Because that one really came out of the woodwork on the last one. It was very amusing. Oh, well, on that happy note, cheers.
Cheers. Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you very much.
You guys are
Okay.
awesome. Looking forward to seeing you in France.
Yes.
Are we all going to go and get tan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about time for us.
Send.
The Aussie will be happy.
Oh,
Yes.
do well.
As he sits there in his Audi, cold on the sofa, shivering in Germany.
That's it.